troop itself was founded in 1917. The cabin was built a little bit later in 1924. So we had our centennial for the troop in 2017, but now we're here to celebrate this great building. And honestly, it's a walking, living museum. You go in there, it's so many, from the 30s, from the 20s, all the way through the 30s, 40s, 50s. You can see all the pictures. There's tons of history of outings, lots of images of ex-scoutmasters and Mr. Russ Paxson, who was a scoutmaster in the twice in his 70 years with the troop. He also got Eagle in 1939. But there's just so much rich history when you walk in. And we have troop meetings here, and it's still a functional building, so it's really great.
So you're looking at the original Troop 1 Eagle Scouts in order from left to right is oldest to newest. It's almost all the Eagle Scouts who came through and through Troop 1, earning their Eagle through Troop 1 and experiencing it, and they had those plaques, and they'll be up there for everyone to see for all the years to come.
Well, this cabin is integral to our scout troop because it's always been a safe home, and it's always been a spot where we can preserve our history and our archives, and we know that we're in a safe environment. And I've personally been quite involved as a senior patrol leader, and Mr. Paxson, the person that this cabin's named after, was my scoutmaster, and I had a key to this place as the senior patrol leader, and I would open and close it and host meetings, and my leadership team and the youth and I would set up meetings and just have a fantastic time here doing events. So it's very important to our history.
So I challenge all of you young scouts here today to remember, as you grow older and become an adult, don't forget what scouting has done for you and continue to give back to scouting. And we can all remember this 100-year-old cabin, and it won't be long until you may be back here celebrating the 125th or the 150th anniversary of this great scouting landmark here in Huntington Beach.
The cabin in its totality is just amazing. When I was first moved here to Huntington Beach, my father was big in scouts, and I've been in scouting since a young child. But when we first moved to Huntington Beach, he said, "Chris, you're not going to believe it. The local troop meets in an actual log cabin." And I just had to see it to believe it. So my dad took me out here, showed me the cabin. The very next week, I enrolled into Troop 1 and was there for the rest of my scouting career. Every time I walk in it, it's a throwback in time. It reminds me of when I was a young scout inside the building, making my way towards Eagle. And it's just amazing, the history, the legacy, the tradition. It's all embodied inside this log cabin.
So interesting to walk around this cabin and think how many scouts have stood where I stood, how many scouts have read what I've read, how many scouts have looked at what I'm looking at, how many scouts have worn this uniform, and it's just interesting, super super historical to just look at these artifacts that have been left here for hundreds, a century. Yeah.
So with the cabin being erected in 1924, and there's a timeline, about 50 years later in 1974, the Lions Club helped to renovate it. And so I thought, what better way than to 50 years after 1974, which is now in 2024, to have the Lions Club come back and have us really do an amazing celebration of this historical log cabin. Yeah, having a log cabin as your scout house in the middle of a downtown area park like this, alongside another historical building, the clubhouse, is completely unique. And we know that the community supports Troop 1 in this park and the city as a whole. We're a staple here, and we'll continue to serve our residences and this community. But a 100-year-old log cabin with a 108-year-old troop, you're not going to find that anywhere else except for Huntington Beach, California.